Hello and welcome to Wealie Arts. My name's Ruth and today I'm going to take you through a very brief tutorial on how to create these really wonderful and vibrant organic ink art designs using the Dylusion Ranger inks range. The equipment that you'll need for this tutorial is a water spray bottle with a fine mist spray, some sort of makeup brushes or just fine brushes that you'll be able to use to drop the pearls. And that's, when I say the pearls, I mean mica powders, and these are perfect pearls, but pretty much any micro powder will do. You can also use the perfect pearl mist, which is basically a water solution with the mica powder included in that as well. And then the Dylusions by Ranger spray inks, so those are the colours that you're going to use. You'll need some form of heat shield. I quite like the boards, but you can also use the Teflon sheets as well, so whatever you find easier. Obviously your trusty heat gun, and then you need some card, glossy card. I like to use the encaustic card that you can buy at encausticart.co.uk, I believe it is. And you can get a pack of 100 A6, which is perfect size for making some decent cards. Before you start, it's worth making sure that you cover any sort of surfaces that you don't want to get ink on, because these sprays can go quite far, and as you can see by my fingers, they can be slightly messy. So you might just want to cover anything that you don't want to get ink on. I usually start by spraying the card with a bit of water. You don't have to do this, but it does mean that your inks move around. Choose a couple of colours. On this one I'm using the vibrant turquoise. So I'm using the turquoise and cut grass. So be really generous with your inks. Pour it all on where you want it. And then add some mica powder. So you can either use the sprays or you can just drop some mica powder on, which I quite like to do. And don't worry about it bowing the card, that's perfectly natural. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our heat gun, we're going to switch it on to high, and we're just going to move the ink around. Careful not to let the heat gun stay in one place for any too length of time, as this will burn the card, which you really don't want to do. If you're not happy with the design, you can just spray a little bit of water on it and it will get some extra movement, or you can actually spray some more ink on as well. As you dry the ink, the card should start settling back down into a flat position. Don't worry if your artwork is not entirely dry, just find somewhere to sort of let it dry off. The important thing is to get it to the point that you're happy with the design, and that it lays pretty much flat. And as you can see, you get the iridescence there of the mica powders coming through with the inks, and it's a really nice effect. So the way the process works is that you use glossy cardstock. So because it's glossy, when you spray your inks onto the card, they don't sink automatically into the card. They actually sit on top of the surface, and you then use your heat tool to dry them around. Obviously, the more ink you put on, the different types of patterns you get. You can build it up, or you can put your ink on all at once. You can add mica sprays for different effects. And as it's the Dylusion inks, when you add water or another ink, it will re-wet the ink that you've already dried on there. So if you don't like what the pattern is that's turned out, you can always come up with a new pattern. Be careful not to hold your heat gun over one area for too long, otherwise you'll start to get bubbling like that, which is where you're actually starting to burn the card. So that's a really nice dark black one there with some hints of red in the background. Okay, so this time around we're going to change it up a little bit, and I'm actually going to add my mica powders first. So again, just taking a little makeup brush, you can either dab it on or just dust it. It's up to you. Again, you can be as liberal and generous or you know, sparing as you wish. Mica powders do go a long way, so bear that in mind. I'm now going to add my water, and that's just going to move the things around a bit. And now before I add my ink, I'm actually going to dry the mica powders a little bit. Now I'm going to add some chocolate, melted chocolate, and then I'm going to use some lemon zest. And then again, straight in with the heat gun. If you use circular motions, you get a different style of drying than if you use the concentrated in the movement. So depending upon what you're trying to achieve with the design, you can kind of control it a little bit with the motion that you use in your drying. You can always blot off any excess as well. And what you get when you put it on, the mica powders on first, is you get more of a background sheen than you perhaps do if you put the micas on top. On this one, I'm actually going to use one of the Perfect Pearl Mists rather than actually using the mica powders. And you can just see the difference in what you get there. And then I'm going to use After Midnight and Bubblegum Pink. Now on this one, I'm actually going to dry it before adding the blue, so that way we'll get the pink behind the scenes quite quickly. The more ink you put on there, the more liquid and organic the feel of your movements, the less you get much more linear style to it. As you can see with the Perfect Pearl Mists, you get a much more even spread of the pearlescence, and it gives you these lovely circular style motions when you dry it in a circular motion. Okay, on this one I'm going to show you how you can use more than two colors. Really, you know, you can use as many or as little colors as you want. You can just do it with one. You don't actually have to use the mica powders. It's just so much fun. It's so freeing, and each design is individual and you know, totally different every time you do it. So it's great fun to just experiment with. So on this one, I'm going to use both the bronze and heirloom gold even Perfect Pearl Mists. What you will notice is that the mica powder gathers at the bottom, so you just want to give them both a good shake before you use them. This helps make sure that they don't gum up the dispenser, but also make sure that you get a really nice even coating. So I'm just going to take all the lids off so that I'm ready. It's always a little bit easier if you do that. I always forget to. Okay, I'm going to start with this one, and then a bit of gold, and I'm really going to cover it on there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of red, blotch of black, and then some orange. Now there's a lot of ink on there. You can see that it starts to move and gather into each other. You can leave it for a bit if you want, or you can just get in there. If you leave it, obviously you lose more ink. The sooner you start drying, the more ink you'll have left that will actually adhere to the card. So some really nice Halloween colours there. You can use them as cards, which is what I do, and I'll show you some examples of them later. Or, you know, you could stick them then through a stencil cutter or embosser and use them as part of your like mixed media or journaling things. So as I say, I tend to use them as cards, but they're great fun, and I hope that you enjoy having a go. Once your designs are fully dried, what you might want to do is, for the A6 cards that we've been creating in the session today, like this one, you cut them in half, and then I use these open gate cards, trifolds, with the window, the picture window again, which are from Encaustic Wax Shop, encausticart.co.uk. And basically all you need to do is use a little bit of double-sided sticky tape to stick them inside, and you're selling some one-of-a-kind cards that nobody else has or will be able to create. So I hope you've enjoyed the workshop and that it's given you some ideas. You can use the backgrounds for Zen tangling or art journaling, so the possibilities are quite frankly quite endless. So I hope you enjoy it and you go away and have a go yourselves. Thanks.